Hi guys, welcome back to a new recovery story. I'm really excited for you to see Sanna's story today. We'll be doing a video without the image because Sanna felt more comfortable just kind of having the sound alone. And so if you want to do something else while you're listening, kind of like go on a walk or do whatever, feel free to do so. Sanna is really a really inspiring client of mine that I really enjoyed working with. And so I think you will love this episode. Enjoy. Last thing, the sound of the video is a little mumbly until 2 minutes. Then the sound is a lot better. So just kind of these first 2 minutes, try and tune in a little bit better, and then afterwards it will improve. So welcome, Sanna. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good, thank you. Yeah, doing really well.
Okay, good to hear. So, as a first question to you, maybe you can share a little bit about kind of what your journey has been with DPDR and anxiety, and kind of walking us through your story with it, like when it started, how you experienced it, what your symptoms were, and just kind of telling people a little bit about exactly what you went through.
So I'll go back a couple of years. So I think it actually started back in 2021. Shortly after getting married, I had an episode of a panic attack, and I think I went straight into DPDR, but I didn't know it was DPDR, and almost disassociated from where I was and what I was doing, and just ran out of the house in complete panic and dismay. Um, Fast forward kind of like 2 years, 2023. I always remembered what had happened, but never really pondered on it. So it just didn't stick with me, and it kind of just vanished in the background, but always felt a little bit uneasy. Never ever thought I'd suffer from something called, as I say, it's anxiety. Um, so we fast forward to 2023. Unfortunately, we had an incident at home where a parent of mine wasn't very well, and we were going for treatment for my parent, and I had a feeling of complete disassociation, I guess we'd call it now, but I didn't know what it was at the time. I felt my hands weren't my hands, my feet weren't my feet. Started spiraling into sort of a bit of a dismay of like all these feelings, and I didn't know what it was, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And when I realized what it was, it kind of just stuck there. Started doing the forbidden research on the internet, and that, I think, magnified my symptoms even more. But I'm glad I kind of did it. It was almost like a poison chalice because it allowed me to get in touch with yourself and actually see there was a way out of this. And I just need to address the anxiety, and the symptom of DPDR would slowly and surely go away. So that's kind of where I discovered that I needed help, and I needed to address the trauma.
Mm-hmm. So if you look back to that now, do you understand why it happened and kind of why
Yeah,
like understanding the reasoning behind it? Because I remember in the beginning in our sessions that was like you always, like you said, kind of described yourself as someone that would never struggle with mental health or like never really um would struggle with anything like that. And is that something that now you understand better, kind of understanding
yeah,
where
absolutely. And I think I've almost have to sort of discipline myself in this because I always felt that I'm almost fit and healthy physically, therefore my mental health didn't even suffer because from the outside I was fine. But with society and the way things are, we do take on quite a lot of stress. And I think the DPDR was kind of telling me to slow down. I had a lot of things happen within quick successions, marriage, baby, a new house, and then a poorly parent. That, I think, was the reason why my body was like, you know what, you need to address this ASAP, because if you don't do it, you're going to end up having, as they call, a mental breakdown. So for me, it was really important that my body and my brain decided to disassociate from what was going on. Um, yeah, I think for me that was the turning point and actually addressing my mental health. I think we mentioned it in a lot of our sessions that if you break a bone, you go and get a cast and you heal it, and you can see that healing process. And for me, I was like, when is this going to go away? When's it going to go? And I just want it to go. And it wasn't. And the reason it wasn't is because I wasn't addressing it correctly. I wasn't giving the correct cure to it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was beautiful for me to see as well, once you kind of realized that, how you started integrating more like self-love and self-compassion and more patience for yourself into your process, and how that quickly also became part of what started to make you feel better, just having a more gentle approach, I guess, towards yourself with your time, and prioritizing yourself again, even as a mom and a child that's taking care of their parent. So is that something that you right now, kind of at the other side, are still prioritizing, or have you slipped back
Yeah.
into?
No, not at all. I think there was they say it's a 360, but you make a 180 because the 360 you go back to where you are. So I've definitely made a 180. And I am looking after my mental health. I am still meditating. I have been doing yoga strictly in the mornings. I am taking walks. I recently gone back to the gym, got a PT, and just that smell and those dopamines are being released
Are you
again.
back at the gym?
So I am, yeah, I
Oh,
am.
amazing. Because that's where we left off, that that was an intention that you were going to do that. So I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear that you're
yeah,
finally.
I'm back at the gym. I'm back at the gym, got myself a PT. And the reason I got myself a PT and I got myself an expensive PT because I knew if I paid the money, I'm gonna go. So I've gone and I'm really proud of myself that I have gone. And I think the credit goes to yourself, Robin, on that because I wouldn't push myself. It'd been nearly what, coming up to 2 years. And I was like, yeah, I'll go, yeah, I'll go, yeah, I'll go. And now I've gone a couple of times. It's been fantastic. And I think that has really helped address a lot of the underlying issues. We don't actually understand how much exercise and fitness actually affects our mental health. Even getting a 10-minute walk in a day was refreshing. But I think I wasn't doing the 10-minute walk initially because the DPDR was so strong. It just used to that social anxiety and that caving in and everything being hyper aware. Um, that wasn't allowing me to do the walk. So I felt these sessions that we had continuously for close to 4 months, 4 to 5 months, I think we had. And yeah, they've actually helped me get to the other side. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. And it was really lovely working with you as well. And I'm just really glad to see where you are now and finally doing what you set out to do, like going back to the gym. Like obviously the people listening don't really know you, but that was such a huge part of who you were prior to the DPDR. Like you love going to the gym and working out, and um sometimes like life gets in the way, and also with the DPDR, I guess that kind of held you back from that. But I feel like that's a good sign of where you are right now, that you're back to that and also investing that time in yourself again.
Yeah. And I think one thing the DPDR has taught me, I think it may have come up on a couple of the recovery stories that I have already seen. It's really made me value um kind of where I'm at with life, really, because I never ever really stopped to think about, oh, this is my life and this is life and this is how it goes on. And you just kind of live it, don't you? Just kind of walk through it, just accepting everything how it is, and you never actually ever question anything. May that be how things work, or may that be your faith, or may that be just your job, or may that be the people that you hang out with and your friends, and just general interactions on a day-to-day basis. You don't really think about it and you just kind of do it robotic style, if I was to choose a kind of word. And now the DPDR has allowed me to just step back a little bit and think about what I'm doing, and actually do a bit of an assessment of like, do I want to do that? Do I not want to do that? How would I feel about doing it? And I didn't used to do that before, but I'm glad that I am doing that because as a mother, it's a great quality to have. So I am thankful for it, but at the same time, I wish it didn't happen at the time that it happened, but I'm glad it happened to me for me to get to where I'm at now.
Yeah. Do you think there, like you being someone, when I first met you, the first session, I was like, I remember saying, like, the first impression I got was just how it's like, go, 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 go. Like, I have this client, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to like be a mom, I have to be a daughter, I have to be a wife, I have to do this. And I remember thinking, like, oh my goodness, like she has no time to take care of herself. And I think sometimes, like you said, the body or the brain kind of stops you for you, so you
Yeah.
can for the better. Do you think you would have changed and prioritized yourself had you not gone through the DPDR?
Absolutely not. No. I would have just continued at 1,000 miles an hour, and I think I would have gone into how they say that midlife crisis where you almost go to that point of going, oh, it's been absolutely awful, and you just have that big, massive breakdown. And I think my body and my brain were very, very kind to me to do what it did to stop that from happening. Unfortunately, because it's not normal, you fight it. You don't want it there. You just don't want to feel that. You don't want to wake up in the morning questioning your body, questioning your mind, questioning existing, questioning why you're even, I think we even touched on it, like, why am I brushing my teeth first thing in the morning? Why am I doing these things? Um, but you just do. And I think now I understand why it had happened. So yeah, I've been able to give myself that time. I've been able to slow things down. I've been able to reprioritize certain things. And really, it's allowed me to almost have that cavalier attitude of like, that's okay, not a problem. Don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. You don't want me to do it, I won't do it. And I was never like that. I was almost like, like a marshal, like, gotta get it done, please get it done right now. And don't get me wrong, yeah, don't get me wrong, those things do still happen now. When I want the rubbish to go out, I will ask my partner to like, can you please put the rubbish out? It doesn't happen straight away. I'm there like pulling the bin out and I'm taking it out, but I give it time now. Before I was like, do it now, do it now, and then that would just create animosity between two people that are probably already stressed out with just general life. So for me, it's allowed me to become a little bit more chillaxed, as they call it.
I'm glad to hear. So if you were kind of looking back now, and by the way, I think you did a beautiful job in your recovery, just kind of um, start to finish. I feel like you really also tackled it from a growth perspective and like understanding that your body was trying to tell you something and that something had to change. So I think that's also why maybe it didn't feel like it, but I think you actually recovered quite quickly and you kind of did a great job at making progress. So if I would ask you, like, kind of to the people that are listening, what
Yeah.
would you say are like the tips, the tools, the things that most helped you in your journey, kind of getting from A to B?
I'd say the number one thing was actually having someone like yourself, understanding what it actually is and why it's there. And second to that, I think just slowing right down. And that goes in saying just generally with anything. So even if that's cooking, slow it down. Think about what you're doing. Don't go at 100 miles an hour. Meditation helped me loads, especially at night, listening to something calming, relaxing. And I think those sound waves really helped me as well. So a lot of sound therapy really, really helped my recovery because it's a deregulated nervous system issue, right? And deep down, how do you regulate that? So that's through talking to individuals that have been through it, understand it, and can relate to it. Because I think what happens with a lot of individuals, they just think they're going mad. I think like, oh my God, like I've got some kind of psychosis, and you haven't. You've got something that 75% of the population actually experience at some point, and those lucky 25 that don't, fine. But we do, and everyone has it, may that be long term or short term. So for me, I'd say getting help with someone that's been through it, meditation, and actually just accepting that it's there for a reason and it's going to go, and actually sit with it, be thankful for it, don't be scared of it. And I know it's really easy to say because I remember in some of our sessions I've had complete utter breakdowns and I'm like, oh my God, Robin, it's not going to stop. And just sort of that havening of like touching your heart, touching your stomach, and telling yourself you're going to be okay, that self-love and care, they for me are the most important things for
Yeah.
my recovery.
I completely agree. And I think, like, I remember something that you used to say as well, like, the unbotheredness of it was also something that I think really helped you. Like, instead of freaking out about it, or instead of um, being like, oh, this has to go away, you kind of, I remember you kind of having sometimes like a humoristic way of also kind of saying, yeah, like it is
Yeah,
what it is. Like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here and feel weird and, let that be the way it is. Like you also
yeah,
embodied that more unbotheredness, and I think that's also something that helped you.
yeah. Like I said, that acceptance part, it's so easy to say, but so hard to accept. But once you do actually fully, not just like, oh yeah, I accept it, you have to deep down, like within your heart, go, this is okay, this is weird, but hey, don't matter, just shrug it off. And honestly, that really helped in my recovery. But like I said, that nighttime and morning meditation along with yoga has been great. Listening to the guidance from your DPDR classes as well that we've had, and the case studies that you've done, the notes that you can have, they have been instrumental to my recovery. And one thing, I don't know if it's been picked up, but reading helps a lot. The more you read, not about DPDR, but the more you read just generally about just things that you have got an active interest in. So I'm really interested in technology and how things work. So I would at night just pull up a quick blog or a forum or a Reddit sort of vlog. I'd just watch it or read it. And they were really good. But I stayed away and I did not research DPDR after our sort of conversations. I didn't research it because I didn't want to, and I knew it's going to just do me down even more. But I didn't want that whole distraction either, where you just distract yourself. And I think you put it beautifully in one of the metaphors that, yeah, you're going to go through like a thorn bush. Would you rather avoid the thorn bush and hit it again later and then avoid it? Or would you just, go through it, get the cuts and like, well, I've done it now and I've walked through it. Now I don't have to ever hit it again. And that was actually really profound for me because initially I was using that tactic of just distraction. I was like, oh, it's coming. Oh, let me quickly put something on my phone and try and play a game and try and run away from it. And yes, it helps momentarily, but long term, it kind of comes back even stronger. And it may, and I'm not saying, distraction isn't a tactic that works, and it may work for a lot of people, but I think for someone like myself, as a strong character with the DPDR really hit really hard and didn't want to go, I couldn't distract it. And my brain, the way that it's wired, wouldn't allow for the distraction to work because the DPDR knew that I was distracting it. So I had to accept it and just walk through that thorn bush.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good way of putting it. Um, and to kind of like, I guess two more questions I have. First question is, um, in general, looking at how you feel today, like,
Mhm.
how do you feel? Like, where are you right now?
I'm definitely not the person that I was before this happened. And I don't want to be that person, to be honest, because that person was just very, yeah, not really thinking about life and just getting on with things and not really thinking about what's around them. Um, and I think now it's just made me a more aware, grateful person. I'm so grateful for life. I'm so grateful for my family. I'm so grateful for the things that I can do rather than the things that I cannot do. And I don't really think about that. Um, and again, I think we're really hard on ourselves when we see things that think, oh, I want to be able to do that. Oh, I want to be able to have that. And actually, no, I don't really care for those things anymore. It'd be great. The material possessions are fantastic, but for me, they are not things that define me anymore. Um, and don't get me wrong, I still like my nice things, but I don't chase it anymore. And maybe that's kind of like a manifestation, but because I'm not chasing it, it's actually coming quite easily to me anyway. So for me, that has been the biggest change.
That's amazing. And if you were to have to give like one last piece of advice or one more thing that you've forgotten to mention today, like for the people listening that are really struggling, what would that last thing that you would give them as a word of advice or wisdom to share?
I would say it's going to go away, and don't think that something untoward has happened to you, something really unkind has happened to you. It's there for a reason. And once you start trawling through your mind and think about the reason why it's there and it clicks and falls into place, that's when the jigsaw starts coming together. And I think for me, if I was to put it in a metaphorical or a visual form for someone, it's just imagine the jigsaw's broken at the moment, and you could be 1,000 piece jigsaw, 100 piece one, or a 4 piece one. Once it all comes together, the visual is all together and you can see it. You can see why it's happened. It's just putting those pieces into place. And sometimes that can take longer. And that's why I've used it. It could be 1,000 piece one, and therefore your recovery time could be a little bit longer. It could be a 4 piece one, and it kind of just clicks and you find what's happened very quickly. For me, I'd say I was kind of midway because I didn't know why it had happened. I didn't know the reason for it. And I think after having the conversations with you and actually digging down deep rooted, like, why has this happened? Like, right, we've got it. And now you found that missing piece, you can start putting your jigsaw piece together and then you see it. And now I look at mine kind of all put together and I'm like, oh, right, okay, I understand.
That's such an amazing metaphor. I've never really thought of it like that, but that's so, so, so true. And that also explains why some people, indeed, like you say, struggle longer than others. It's really like the amount of pieces you have to put together. That's a great way of looking at it. Thank you for sharing that.
No, no, that's fine. Like I said, for me, I think it was probably like a 300 piece puzzle and I had so many moving parts. And I've gone really, really deep inside myself to find what it is my trauma was. And once I found what my trauma was, I could start addressing it. But we don't realize we carry so much trauma as human beings. We just kind of muster on and don't sit back and think for a minute, oh, right, okay, that was traumatic. How do I fix it? And we just carry on. And yeah, for me, that's what the DPDR has taught me. Is when something happens, assess it, think about it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. Is there anything, Sana, that you feel like you haven't shared today that you felt is important that you still wanted to share or talk about?
Yeah, I think one thing I would probably say to individuals that are listening to this and are thinking that, they're in this tunnel and they can't see the light, that light is there. And I say, be kind to yourself, be patient, and don't expect it to wake up in the morning and for it to be gone. And if you do experience those things like existential crisis, for example, that comes with that DPDR, just remember it's another symptom of that DPDR and it's not something separate to it. So once you can again hit that and understand why it's there, that again will slowly, slowly start subsiding. But it's that acceptance part, it's just really important.
Absolutely. Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sana, for
No,
sharing
that's cool.
today.
Fine, thank
I
you.
really appreciate you coming on and talking about it. I think everything you said is super helpful and couldn't agree more. So this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So thank you.
No problem. No, thank you very much for all your help, Robin, and support. It's been second to none. Thank you.
You're so welcome. All my pleasure. All
Thank
right.
you.
So to everyone listening, thank you for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and learned something from it, and hope to see you all in my next video. So have a beautiful rest of your day and bye.